Thank you everybody to joining us for Nirvana Shatkam, knowledge sharing by Sri Subramanian Chidambaram. We start the day with the prayers. Thank you. Saira.
पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
शिवोऽहं 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 चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम् मनोबुद्ध्यहङ्कार चित्तानि नाहं न च श्रोत्रजिह्वे न च घ्राणनेत्रे न च व्योमभूमिर्न तेजो न वायुः चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम् न च प्राणसंज्ञो न वै पञ्चवायु न वा सप्तधातुर्न वा पञ्चकोश न वा पाणिपादौ न चोपस्थपायुः चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम् न मे द्वेषरागो न मे लोभमोहो मदो नैव मे नैव मात्सर्यभाव न धर्मो न चार्थो न कामो न मोक्षः चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम् न पुण्यं न पापं न सौख्यं न दुःखं न मन्द्रो न तीर्थो न वेदो न यज्ञः अहं भोजनं नैव भोज्यं न भोक्ता चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम् न मे मृत्युशङ्का न मे जातिभेद पिता नैव मे नैव माता न जन्म न बन्धुर्न मित्रं गुरुर्नैव शिष्य चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम् अहं निर्विकल्पो निराकाररूपो विभुर्व्याप्य सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणां सदा मे समत्वं न मुक्तिर्न बन्ध चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम्
Om Shri Sai Ram. We welcome you all to a very blissful evening towards the knowledge sharing session of Nirvana Shatkam by Brother Subramanian Chidambaram, who we also know as Ram Kumar. Shri Satya Sai Seva Organization, the youth wing of Metropolitan Region, Team Shri Satya Sai Anugram welcomes everybody. To give you a small brief about Ram Kumar, that is Brother Subramanian Chidambaram, he hails from a family of Samvedic scholars in the Pudukot village of Palakkad district from Kerala. He is an electrical engineer by qualification and a postgraduate in management from IIM Lucknow. He is currently working as head of strategy and digitalization with the Siemens Group in India. He has also published operations and strategy case studies and articles in leading national and international management journals and delivered lectures at IIM Lucknow Noida, IIM Indore and VJTI Mumbai. Coming to his Sanskrit background, he is an MA in Sanskrit, specialization in Vedanta and diploma in manuscriptology, both from University of Mumbai. He is currently a visiting faculty of Puranas and Vedanta at the University of Mumbai for advanced diploma and MA students. He has formally studied Veda chanting for almost 8 years, and he was also introduced into singing by his mother. Without taking much of your time, I'll hand over the session to Brother Subramanian. Sai Ram.
Namaskaram to all. I hope all of you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
I'll share my screen. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
अज्ञानान्तर्गहनपतितान् आत्मविद्योपदेशैः त्रातुं लोकान् भवदवशिखा पापपापच्यमानान् मुक्त्वा मौनं वडविडविनोः मूलतो निष्पतन्ति शम्भोर्मूर्तिश्चरति भुवने शङ्कराचार्यरूपा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मत् आचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Namaskaram to all and welcome to this session, this 2-day session of Nirvana Shatkam. At the outset, I would like to ask all the participants to turn off their video so that it will help in the bandwidth of the session. For the participants who attended the last session on the Panduranga Ashtakam, I had explained about the literature of the Acharya, that they can be categorized into 3 aspects called as the Bhashyas, the Prakarana Granthas and the Stotras. Depending upon the capability of the person or the individual, the Acharya has composed different kinds of literature to take the person from where he is to the ultimate. So if the Adhikari is an Uttama Adhikari, you have the Bhashya literature of Acharya Shankara. For the Madhyamas, you have the Prakarana Granthas like Viveka Chudamani and others. For the beginners who are not conversant at all with the Siddhanta, with the Vedanta and other aspects, to take them through is what Acharya composed, the Stotra literature. What we are going to do today, it can be called as a Stotra or it can be called as a Prakarana Grantha, but most probably it should be called as a Stotra because of the very format in which it is there. What does the Stotra mean? Stutyate anena, the one that is praised, a set of verses in which a deity, a devata or some being is being praised. Stutyate. That is the initial part of the word stotra. The later part of the word stotra, trayate, to protect. By praising the deity protects, or we are expecting protection from the deity. It is also instrument, a means of praising the deity. Both ways the suffix tra is used. In this stotra, before we get to this stotra, the different kinds of stotras that are there, you have the Panchakam, which consists of 5 verses, the Shatkam, which consists of 6 verses, which is what we are going to deal today, the Ashtakam, 8 verses, and so on, Dashakam, 10 verses, Shatakam, 100 verses, and many such types of stotra compositions. In this aspect, what we are going to do today is the Shatkam, that is a group of 6 verses, is what we are going to deal today. But what is the name of this? It is called as Nirvana Shatkam. Let's come to that. Nirvana Shatkam. I hope all of you are able to hear me. Huh? The audio is clear?
Yes.
Okay. Nirvana Shatkam. So in this there are 2 words, Nirvana and Shatkam. Shatkam we just explained now. It is a form of stotra literature which consists of 6 verses. What do you mean by Nirvana? Very commonly if you ask, or what we understand, Nirvana means to attain liberation, isn't it? In the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the 1st chapter is all about Arjuna's despondency. The main speaker in the 1st chapter is Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna speaks only in the 2nd chapter. He starts his talk only in the 2nd chapter. And whatever he has to say, actually he has already said in the 2nd chapter itself. How does he end the second chapter? Krishna ends the second chapter. Esha Brahmi Sthitif Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Titva Syamantakaalepi Brahma Nirvana Mricchati. He tells Arjuna, after describing all, he says, this Brahmi Sthiti, this state that I have spoken to you about, O Arjuna, na enam prapya vimuhyasi. You will not repent or feel sorrowful the moment you reach this state. Stitva asyam antakalepi. Even till the last breath, especially in the last moments of your life, when death is ready to take away the mortal form of you, the physical body away, at that time you have to get established. Before that, you have to get established in this state of Brahmi Sthiti. What will happen then? Brahma Nirvana Mricchati. You will get liberation, Nirvanam, Nirvriti. Not just liberation, you will attain Brahman. You will attain the state of Brahman. You will realize the state of Brahman. Brahma Nirvana Mricchati. In the Bhashya, Acharya says, Brahma Nirvritim Gacchati. He attains Brahman. He attains the state of Brahman. He attains Moksham, says the Acharya. This term Nirvanam is how Krishna defines it. Ultimate self-realization. The status of Brahman. The same word is used by Buddha. How does Buddha use it? He says it Nibbana. In the Buddhism, it is called as Nibbana, which means again liberation, Moksham. But after getting liberated, what? Shunyam. There is Shunyatvam. So you're getting liberated and you attain Shunyam. So Nirvanam, the very term, started getting interpreted differently. Though Krishna had interpreted it this way as reaching Brahman, but by the time of Buddhism, it became Shunyatvam, Shunyam. Nibbana, attaining Shunyam. Even in Tamil, there is a very common usage, the lamp attaining Nirvana. That means when the oil that you have poured, automatically all the oil is gone dry, and the wick by itself, it goes completely devoid of oil and it stops on its own. We call it Nirvana. The lamp has attained Nirvana. That means it has become Shunyam. It has become nothing, nothingness. But that is not Nirvana. Attaining nothingness is not Nirvana as per Sanatana Dharma. It is attaining that fullness from zero to the fullness, isn't it? That is why the other name of this stotram is very important, Atma Shatkam. So it is not just Nirvana Shatkam because of various other interpretations of Nirvana. Atma Shatkam, you will attain Atma Sakshatkaram. You will attain realization of the self. You will attain the self. It is not Shunyatvam, you will attain the self. So that is the meaning, or that is the essence of the very name of this stotram. It's called Atma Shatkam. That means it is 6 verses on the Atman. So here, who is the Devata? The Atman is the Devata, the Supreme God. Upanishads praise Brahman as the Supreme, beyond everybody, beyond all Indra, Vayu, Varuna, beyond everybody is Brahman. So the Supreme Devata, Brahman, is being praised here. Stutyate. So we can definitely call it a stotram. So this is why it is called Atma Shatkam. Now let's come to the background of this stotram. Acharya Shankara, I'm not going to go into the details of his life history, but only what is relevant to this session of ours. It is very important for me to give you a background today and start off the session so that you understand what is being spoken of in the 6 verses. Though they are only 6 verses, but to understand what is spoken of in the 6 verses, we need to have a background. This is what I'm spending the time today a bit on. Acharya Shankara, by the time he was 8 years old, he had completed, of course, Upanayanam was over. He had completed Vedadhyayanam along with the Vedangas, Vedanga Adhyayanam. All the Shastras, everything was complete. The education was complete by the age of 8. Whatever had to be completed, whatever secular education had to be completed was all completed for Acharya. By that time, his father had also passed away, Shiva Guru, and he was living with his mother, Aryamba. By the time, just imagine, by the time he's 8 years old, the entire Adhyayanam is over, and Acharya has done Shravanam, Mananam, and now he has got that Mumukshutvam in him, Jijnasa, to get liberated. He doesn't want to be in the world, he wants to get liberated. So he wants Moksham, Mumukshutvam. So he wants to go in the search of a guru who can grant him moksha, who can grant him the way to moksha. So at the age of 8, a young child, a young boy at the age of 8, starts walking from down Kaladi in Kerala all the way to the banks of the Narmada in Madhya Pradesh, Omkareshwar, where the great Advaita Guru, Govinda Bhagavat Pada, is there. He goes in search of the Guru. We said in the initial Dhyana Shloka, Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyama. The entire Guru Parampara is there. From Sadashiva to Narayana to Brahma to Vasishta to Shakti to Parashara to Vyasa to Shuka to Gaudapada to Govinda Bhagavat Pada. So the Advaita Parampara has come till Govinda Bhagavat Pada, and now Shankara has to take it ahead. He has to establish himself in that supreme Advaita Siddhantam, Advaita Sthiti, the Brahmi Sthiti, and then he has to take it ahead. He goes and approaches the Guru, a young lad of 8 years, and by the time Govinda Bhagavat Pada is many years, he's a yogi, so he has been living for many years, and he's been there. The young lad of 8 years is going and approaching the Guru. He goes and stands in front of the Guru. An unknown happiness fills the Guru and the heart of the Guru. The Guru is in Dhyanam, but an unknown happiness fills his heart, and he opens his eyes and he sees Shankara in front of him. Astvam, he asks the question, who are you? That is a question the Guru is asking. Who are you? If we were asked this question, what we would say? We would give our entire biodata, isn't it? I'm the son of so-and-so, I've done so-and-so, these are all my credentials, these are the awards I have won, these are the different things. By the time we finish itself, he will become exhausted. But in spiritual sadhana, it's very important. When a guru, when a jnani guru is asking, who are you? He is not bothered about your physical existence. He's asking something else. The moment the guru asks, who are you? Shankara, the young Shankara, bursts forth 6 verses in front of the Guru, which is known as Nirvana Shatkam or Atma Shatkam. So these are the 6 verses that the baby Shankara of 8 years gives as a reply to the question of the Guru, who are you? And it is a description. See, Atma, Brahman cannot be described, the Upanishads themselves say. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasaha. They cannot be described. It cannot be described. But still an attempt is made, because that is only tool that we have. Speech is only tool we have. So we have to go through the known to the unknown, through what we have to the thing that we have not yet seen. So the words are only thing that we have. So we have to go with the words. So still attempts are being made to still describe the indescribable. So he still makes an attempt. I am not this, I am not that. That is the style used by Shankara in describing who he is. The Acharya Guru has asked a very simple question, who are you? He should just say, I am. No. He starts saying, I am not this, I am not that, I am not this, I am not that. The moment all the nots are gone, what remains is he. What remains is I. That is the beauty of the Advaita Vedanta. That is the beauty of Vedanta. That is the message of the Upanishads, that's the message of the Vedas. This is called the Neti Neti Marga. I am not this, I am not that. These 6 verses beautifully Shankara puts forth. Now the question can come, was then Shankara already realized? And when he came to the Guru, that means he should have already been realized if he is speaking. See, first thing is, if he is speaking from that state of realization, it is from that state it is coming, that means he's already realized. Then what was the need for the Guru? Right? And it is impossible that he is not speaking, then he would be actually telling untruth. If he is not realized himself as the Atman, and still if he says Aham Atma, Aham Brahmasmi, then that is wrong. Shivoham. He has not realized, then how can he say that? So that is untruth. So it's not possible that Shankara would have spoken the untruth and the Guru would have still heard it. The lad speaking untruth, not possible. So what happened then? The only interpretation you can give to this is, when the Guru asked, Shankara had already, he was already that Adhikari, that Uttam Adhikari, that Mumukshu, the Jignasu who was on the verge. He just needs one tap and it is done. You know, he's in that state. In that state, the Guru is asking, who are you? Not to the body or not to any of the aspects, to directly, deeply looking inside the Atman, the Brahman. That very darshanam of the Guru brings realization in Shankara. That is the explanation we can give. So, the Nirvana Shatkam is an outcome of the contact between the Guru and the Shishya. Between Govinda and Shankara, when they came in contact, this sprung forth. Because the realization happened at the same time, and all this sprung forth at the same time as the experience then and there. So this is the experience of the Acharya. As he is experiencing, he is telling it in the form of the verses. So these verses are his experiential account. He is himself exploring. As he is telling the verses, he is himself exploring himself, and finally he lands in the last verse, Aham Nirvikalpo Nirakara Rupaha. Finally he gets established in that self. So the Nirvana Shatkam, the beauty of this is also the journey of Acharya. The moment the Guru is asking, the journey of the Acharya itself, from the external to the internal and getting established in that Brahmi Sthiti. Even today, if you go to Omkareshwar, you will find these caves that are marked as this is where Govinda Bhagavad Pada was staying, this is where Shankara was staying. And all these sculptures and other things will be there. So all of you, if you visit Omkareshwar, the banks of the Narmada, you should definitely visit these. Now let's come to the first verse. Manobudhya hankara chittani naham na cha shrota jihve na cha ghrana netre na cha vyoma bhumi na tejo na vayu chidananda rupaha Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. What does Acharya say? Neither I am the mind, nor the intellect, nor the ego, nor the memory, or the mind stuff. I am not the hearing capability or the tongue or speech or the nose or my eyes. None of this is me. I am not the Akasha, I am not the Bhumi, I am not the fire, I am not the air. I am Chidananda Rupaha. I am that form of Chit Anandam, consciousness and bliss. I am Shiva. See, if you just read this verse like this, I don't know how many of us will really get the purport of what it is and why is he saying all this. So before we get into these, it's very important to understand certain basics of Vedantam before getting into this. This is the Shastra Parampara. This is how the Shastra will take you inside the main aspects. What do we see? What do we know of ourselves as? If we were asked, who are you? What do we say? I am so and so. You give a name. I am so such and such person's son, such and such person's daughter. I live in so and so place. Right? This is my address. This is the occupation. All these things you will give. What are you describing? What exactly are you describing by all these things? You are describing your physical body. That is what you're describing. When you're asked, who are you? The most common answer is to describe your physical body and all attributes related to the physical body. Isn't it? The name is for whom? The form. The form is of what? The physical body. You are the son of whom? How? Physical body. You live where? The physical body lives. So all these aspects related to the physical body. In the Shastram, this is called as the sheath of food or Annamaya Kosham. The same question was asked in the Upanishads. You know, there is an interesting episode in the Upanishad where Bhrigu, sage Bhrigu, goes to his father Varuna, and he's asking his sage, his father Varuna, "Oh father, please tell me about Brahman, because we have heard that Brahman is the ultimate state to be achieved. Even Krishna says Brahmi Sthiti. Upanishads also say Brahma Vidapnoti Param. You should attain Brahman." So the son is asking father, "What is this Brahman, O father? Can you tell me what is this Brahman?" Bhragurvaiva Runihi Varunam Pitaramupasasara Adhihi Bhagavo Brahmeti. Adhihi, please tell me, what is this Brahman? The father replies in a cryptic way. There is no straightforward answer given anywhere. Yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayantyabhisamvishanti tad vijijñāsasva tad brahma iti. That is Brahman. What is Brahman? Yato va imani bhutani jayante, from which all this creation and all these beings have come into existence. That source of creation is Brahman. Yena jatani jivanti, on which all of these created beings are sustained. They sustain on that, and they also merge into that. Liyate, Leenam. So creation, sustenance and destruction, for all this which acts as a substratum, that is Brahman. Find out what it is. Do tapas, do penance and find out for yourself. Even Bhrigu came up with the first answer. It has to be the physical, it has to be food. It has to be the physical body which is created from food. I am the physical body. And how did the physical body come into existence? Because of the sperm, right? Being planted in the womb. The sperm comes from the food. So the creation has happened from food. Sustenance, I am sustaining, I am surviving only because of food. And when I die, my entire body is going to get decomposed into the earth, and again it's going to grow back as food. So food is the answer. Annam Brahme Divyajanat. Annam is Brahman. He goes to the father and says, "Father, I found the answer. This food, Annam." Father says, "No, wrong answer. Go back. Again, do penance, tapas." Sadabodapyata, Sadapastatva. This comes multiple times. Again, do penance. He comes to the next level. What is beyond? He thinks, okay, so this is not, is what my father is saying. What is beyond the physical body? What is beyond this body made of food? There is a sheet of vital airs. I'm breathing, right? So there is a set of air packet moving inside. An entire system of air that is moving in and out, that is regulating, that is circulating, doing multiple things within the body. Prano Brahme Divyajanat. The Pranan is Brahman. The vital air is Brahman. He goes back to the father. Father says, "No, wrong answer. Go back." He again thinks, what is even subtler than that? What is inside that? Mano Brahme Divyajanat. The mind, thoughts are there, which are even more subtler than even the air. Physical body I can touch and see. The air I can feel. Mind I can't even feel that way, but I know it is there. Thoughts are coming. Goes back? No. Again, wrong answer. Vijnanam Brahmeti Vyajanat. The intelligence behind the mind. The mind is thinking, the thoughts are coming, but there is a deeper intelligence behind. So intelligence that is more subtler, and that is Brahman. No. Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat. The anandam, the bliss, the happiness you get even when the intelligence is gone. In deep sleep. Not any other time. In dream also the mind is operating. In deep sleep when there is nothing, you still feel so relaxed and happy. Anandam Brahme Divyajanat. After this, the introspection ends here because you cannot teach a technique beyond this. This is the maximum you can experience. You can perceive only till that Anandamayam, till that Anandamaya kosha, that sheath where you experience bliss, the deep sleep, that is the maximum level you can go into. Inside that going is imperceptible. But where is the Atman? Pancha koshantara sthita. Pancha koshanta sthitaha. It is inside that. The moment that Anandamaya kosham also is removed, what shines forth is that Atma. What shines forth is the Brahman. Saisha Bhargavi Varuni Vidya. So this is an analysis of the Upanishad starting from the outermost experience of who we are to the innermost experience of who we are. So it is, in technical terms, it is called as the Annamaya Kosha, the Pranamaya Kosha, the Manomaya Kosha, the Vijnanamaya Kosha, the Anandamaya Kosha, and inside that the Atma. Now let's reverse it. This is the outside in perspective. Now let's come inside out. This Brahman, covered with avidya, covered with ignorance. The Brahman is what? Brahman has no qualities. Brahman is nirguna. Brahman is supreme knowledge, is all knowledge. There cannot be dark. It is full light. How can there be darkness in light? Cannot be. But due to some misunderstanding, it has got covered with something. It has got covered with some darkness, some ignorance. Because of that ignorance getting associated with that knowledge, what is happening? Creation starts there. If it was only Brahman, there is no creation. When Brahman gets associated with avidya, with ignorance, only creation starts. Isn't it? Today we have created this whole world out of what? Out of our mind. Thought has only got converted into so many things, isn't it? So it is this perception, it is these thoughts that have created this entire creation. So this avidya or ignorance, when associated with Brahman, it creates the entire set of creation which is mentioned in the Upanishads beautifully. Etasmat Atmana Akashas Sambhutaha. From the Atman, the Akasha first emerges. First comes in creation, comes the Akasha, which is very difficult to perceive. You know it exists, but it's very difficult to perceive. Akashad Vayuhu. When there is some kind of movement in Akasha, it becomes Vayu, wind. Vayor Agnihi. When there is even faster movement, friction happens and fire is generated. Agner Abaha. With creation of fire, moisture and water gets created. Adhyaf Prithivim. The particles of the water, they settle down and earth is created. Prithivyam Oshadhayaha. On Prithvi as a substratum, the entire vegetation is grown. The entire plant kingdom grows. Oshadibhyonnam. These act as food for all the beings in the world. Annat Purushaha. Through this Annam is born Purusha. Because you're eating, it's getting converted into your Shukla Shonita, your reproductive fluids and tissues, and a new life comes into creation. And in that Purusha, you have the Atman again. Atman is there, just we saw in the previous slide. This is the cycle. So there is no, in our Sanatana Dharma, there is no linear creation. There is some 10,000 years before somebody was living somewhere, now he is progressed, another 10,000 years he will progress. No, it is a Kala Chakra. This is continuously happening as a chakram of evolution of the world is described this way in the Upanishads. Now the elements that I've highlighted in blue, they're all what you commonly call, right, Panchabhuta. We very commonly refer to them as Panchabhutas. And we also say this, all the Sharira is made of Panchabhuta. The Shastra, Vedanta Shastra, there is a very proper analysis of how from these Panchabhutas all this creation has come. It says that these Panchabhutas, they exist initially in their pure unadulterated form, which is called as Tanmatra. They're called as unadulterated form of the 5 elements. This unadulterated form has got or gives rise to various kinds of creation. From the most refined aspect of these unadulterated form comes the mind, the intellect, the ego, the memory, the organs of knowledge. All that is light giving, knowledge giving are all born from the subtlest aspects, the most refined aspects of these 5 elements. The slightly active parts of these 5 elements, which are not the most refined, they're slightly less. This is called as the Rajasika aspect of the Tanmatras. They give rise to the vital airs, which create movement in the body and which lead to different kinds of movements, and the organs of action, like the hands, the legs, the tongue, the reproductive organs, the excretory organs, all these things function. These are all active elements. So this is the Rajasika, action. The Tamasika aspect is what? Is the Panchabhuta that forms the physical creation. From the Tamasika, the inertia aspect of these elements, the entire physical creation comes into being. This is how beautifully they identify how. So as you see, if you see all this, you will find that the basic source of all creation is that Brahman. And when it got adulterated with this avidya or ignorance, the entire creation comes into being. So this is how the creation has come into being. Again, going back to what we said, these 5 koshas, and you can associate each of these 5 koshas with whatever we just spoke about. The physical body or the sheath of food, which is all the physical aspect. The pranamaya kosha, which includes the rajasika elements, the vital airs, organs of action. The sheath of mind and the sheath of intellect, both of them the sattva or the refined aspects of the intellect, memory, mind, ego, etc. and the anandamaya kosha. These are called by different names. You have the gross body, which is the physical body, which is just annamaya kosha. Then you have a subtle body, which includes all these aspects of the mind, the intellect, and the vital airs. And then you have the Anandamaya Kosha, which is called as the causal body, which causes the body to take birth. That is why it's called as causal body, the Punarjanma. Why you take Punarjanma, the Papa, Punya, everything is stored in the form of this causal body, which then leads you to take another birth. So this is the Shastra. So when we refer to all the physical aspects, you are referring to only one aspect of your existence. The gross body, the subtle body, the causal body, and within that is real you. With this background, now also, when you look at the physical body also, the Shastras, especially Ayurveda, if you look at, it has further broken it down. How? The physical body is composed of 7 elements, it says, Sapta Dhatu. The rasas or the bodily fluids, which includes your sweat, the milk, and all other aspects come under rasa. Then comes rakta, which is even more subtler than the rasa, the blood components. Then the mamsa, the muscle tissues, the meda, the adipose tissues, the asti, the bone and other tissues, the bony tissues, majja, the bone marrow, and finally the generative tissue of the shukla or the shonita. So each subsequent element is more subtler than the first. And these are called the Sapta Dhatus in Ayurveda. And that is how they study. The entire different diseases are studied from these perspectives. So the Shukla or Shonita is the essence of the entire system, entire body. That is why it is called as Viryam. So this is how they start analyzing the Shastras. With this background, now when we say Manobodhya Hankara Chitta Nidaham, I am not the Manas, I am not the buddhi, I am not the ahankara, I am not the chitta. All these four are different aspects of the satvika, the refined aspect of the tanmatras, which are deep inside, antakarana. न च श्रोत्र जिह्वे न च घ्राण नेत्रे. The organs of knowledge, the hearing, the tasting, the smelling, the seeing, and the touching. He has excluded one aspect of the touching part, but the moment he says these four, it means that the other fifth is also included. In Shastras, in many places, you argue that way. Even if one of the elements is mentioned, it means that it includes all the rest of the list by itself. It is not that he has excluded, so it is not part of this. No. It is also part of this. It is still included, all the five organs of knowledge. So the internal elements of the mind, intellect, everything, I am not. These organs of knowledge, I am not. Nacha vyoma bhumihi na tejo na vayuhu, the tanmatras, which are creating all these elements, that also I am not. Chidananda rupaha shivoham shivoham, by which all this got created, that lamp, that Brahman, Chidananda rupaha, that Shivam is me, not all this creation. These all have come as creation out of that lamp because it got associated with avidya. But I have clear clarity now that all this is just an outcome, is an effect. The cause is there. I am that. Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. So this is where is the first shloka. So today I stopped there because it was important for me to give you this background of all this. Otherwise, understanding of why does he speak of these aspects and what are these aspects would be difficult. So now actually I would like to stop sharing and take up some questions because it is slightly technical topic. This is not a Vedanta lecture for sure. But even to understand the Nirvana Shatkam, it is important to understand at least these basics of the Vedanta. So any doubts, any queries, please feel free to ask.
Thank you, Ramkumar.
I shall be
Thank
happy
you.
to share.
And there are like a couple of questions which has come forward. Am I audible to you?
Yes.
Okay. So the first question is when we do a lot of like a Google search on like Nirvana Shatkam. So the first thing that comes it is like Shatakam, Shatakam.
Yeah.
So can you help us understand what is the difference between Shatkam, Shatkam and Shatakam?
Yeah.
And which is the right one to be used?
Right. So as I was explaining the types of stotras, Shatkam, Shat means 6. So the one which is composed of 6 verses is Shatkam. Shata means 100. So the one that is composed of 100 verses is Shatakam. So the moment you say Nirvana Shatakam, the other 94 verses you will have to compose. Only 6 are available.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there any rituals and timings and counts to chant Nirvana Shatkam? Like
Here I would like to mention something. Please don't just chant the Nirvana Shatkam. That is what I would like to say. Nirvana Shatkam, like I mentioned, that is why I gave the background. That Nirvana Shatkam was the journey of Acharya towards himself inside. So the moment you are chanting each of those lines or words, you yourself must undergo that journey. Yes, it is not going to be possible for us or all of us in the beginning. Definitely we are not, probably most of us are not in that state. But slowly and slowly, that is why I also wanted to give you this background of this manas and buddhi and ahankara so that you are able to get to that subtler elements. And as you are chanting this, your mouth should keep chanting, everything is fine, but then you should keep going inward. The journey should be inward. And the beauty of this Shatkam is that the tagline that keeps repeating, Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham, is such a beautiful tagline. That very tagline, the moment you reach that state of the Jignasu, the moment you are in that right stage, probably that one line itself is enough to put you into that state of realization. Such a beautiful line that you have at the end of each of those verses.
Thank you. We move to the next question. Like you mentioned about the Atman being associated with ignorance, leading to elements. So what ignorance are you exactly referring to?
Okay.
When you say ignorance, what exactly are you referring to?
See, the Vedas proclaim that what exists is only Brahman. Okay, the Lord alone is there. There is nobody else. We have also heard Swami has been saying, the great Mahatmas have been saying that what exists is only God. Nothing else exists. Are you seeing only God everywhere? Definitely not. Even now, I'm seeing so many people, right? I'm also looking at the number of participants, how many people have come, what are their different names, who is asking what question. So, where is the all is God concept? So, it is a concept, it is a theoretical thing that we have somewhere in the head, but there is no experience of it. Why there is no experience of it is the question. That is where Acharya Shankara, in the beginning of his Brahma Sutra Bhashyam itself, he brings this clarity to everybody. He says, yes, people will look at the world like this only because for ages together they have been doing this. And he brings great examples, which is a separate topic in itself. He says this ignorance is what ignorance? Ignorance is, suppose it's a very famous example in Vedanta, that of the rope and the snake. Okay. You have a rope that is lying down. Okay. And if it is a pitch dark room, you won't bother because you don't even know what is lying down, a rope or whatever, you won't know. But if there is full light also, you will know that it is a rope. But if there is dim light, which gives a feeling that something is moving down, okay, it seems like something that is moving down, then you start imagining now. It could be a snake, it could be some other reptile. And how do you imagine all these things? Because you have seen all these things in the past. And you have seen your National Geographic or Discovery and multiple things you have seen. And you have read the papers also, of course. And everything is there in the head. So now you put all that into that situation and you say, now the snake is there. And that artificial, that non-existent snake creates real fear in you. Right? So a non-existential thing can create a real thing in you. This is ignorance. This is avidya. This is how Acharya explains. And this he then extends it to everything and he says, you are not the physical body. Still you consider yourself physical body and do multiple things. This is avidya. You are not the mind, but you consider yourself to be the mind. You say, I am the most intelligent person on the face of the earth. But intelligence is not you, but still you associate. So identification of yourself with what you are not and performing in the world is ignorance. That is what is referred to as ignorance or avidya.
I feel the next question also you have answered. The next question was actually, why does Atman is associated with avidya?
Yeah. This answer actually even the Shastras have not been able to tell beyond the limit. So people have asked, what is this avidya? When did it come? When did it start? How did it start? Beyond a point, they only could say that this avidya is actually, I cannot explain this avidya, Baba. It is beyond my comprehension to explain avidya. I can explain Brahman, but I cannot explain avidya. It is so complicated because you don't know when it started. As I said, so many births it is happening. God knows which birth it started and how it started. So the reason for it to start is the wrong identification. But why do you identify wrongly? That is still $1 million question. Why do you do the identification? But we know that we are doing it. So the Guru's job is only to clear you out of that identification. He doesn't want to give you too much explanation of why it is there. Because if he tells you one answer, you will ask another 2 questions. Then the entire life, he will only keep answering you. Neither you will attain realization nor you will allow him to attain or stay in that. So the entire focus of the Shastra is to show you what is Brahman. But since you are not seeing what is and you are always seeing what it is not, it tries to explain in some way whatever you are seeing is not this, not this, not this. And it tries to bring you to something that is. The moment you see what it is, everything else vanishes. That is the very complicated answer to the question, but that is what it is, avidya. That is what is ignorance.
So somebody has requested if you can clear the aspect of 3 lines on Shivalinga.
3 lines on the Shivalinga. That is a Tripundram.
Yeah.
Okay. See, Vibhuti by itself, the concept is everything you keep on burning, burning, burning. What is left out is Vibhuti, Bhasma. Bhasma is something that you cannot burn further. That means that is the essence of everything is Bhasma. And Shiva wears it because he is essence of everything, not Shiva the deity. We should not confuse. Then somebody will say, I am Vishnu's Bhakta. How did you say Shiva is great? We are not talking about Shiva and Vishnu, the deities who live in Kailasa and Vaikunta with their wives. No, we are not talking about that. We are talking about the Tattvam of Shiva, the Shiva Tattvam. The principle of Shiva is the ultimate essence of everything. When that Shiva, so what he does, he puts that Bhasma everywhere, all around. What is this three? The Tripundram indicates, it indicates many things. It indicates that this Bhasmam, okay, your three, what we just spoke about, right? We spoke about the gross body, the subtle body, and the causal body. All these three bodies are going to become Bhasma at the end of the day. So don't identify yourself with either of these three bodies. You are neither the gross, you are neither the subtle nor the causal. So all these three are Bhasma only. All these three are experienced in what states? Your gross body you experience when you are awake. Hopefully everybody in the lecture is awake. So this is the gross body you are experiencing. Subtle body is when you slip into the dream. Then you are dreaming. Then you are in the subtle body. Your only mind operates. Your physical body is already, you have forsaken your physical body already. You are in a different body. Even when the dream stops and you have a sound sleep, you know, which has become very rare nowadays, but sound sleep, you know, deep sleep, when you don't even see dreams, that is the third state. You also exist in that state. So there are three states, but know that, and after that you come back to your waking state in the morning. So this keeps going on, right? So the Tattvam says, know that all these three states are also not real. All these three states will also get reduced to Bhasma, will get reduced to nothingness. Find out what is the essence behind all these three. That is what the three lines indicate.
Sai Ram, thank you so much. Like there are a couple of more questions. So what we will do is like we will take it tomorrow in this session, the remaining questions, and we will end today's session with our concluding prayers. Sai Ram, thank you so much.
ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात् ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात् ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्
श्रीनारायण तु पुरुषोत्तम गुरुतु सिद्धबुद्धतु स्कन्दविनायक सविता पावकतु सविता पावकतु ब्रह्ममस्ततु यह्वशक्तितु येषु पिता प्रभुतु रुद्रविष्णुतु रामकृष्णतु रहिमतावतु रहिमतावतु वासुदेव गोविष्णुपतु चिदानन्द हरितु अद्वितीयतु अकालनिर्भय आत्मलिङ्ग शिवतु आत्मलिङ्ग शिवतु आत्मलिङ्ग शिवतु
समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु
समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।